talked about you wanted to leave a legacy to your sons in terms of just teaching them life lessons. So you started something I know called Wisdom to My Sons.
Correct.
And then there is what is very close to my heart, which is Wisdom to Our Daughters. Tell us about Wisdom to Our Daughters.
Wisdom to Our Daughters began with my wife and I talking about different things that we'd learned, different lessons. And she and I want to make sure that we teach lessons to young ladies.
Yes.
That will help them go through life and understand how things work. So for me, I'm on Instagram and I'm thinking, okay, let's use Instagram to talk to young ladies, to talk to young men.
Yes.
And I know what young men think like because I used to be one.
Yes, yes.
And so I'm thinking, okay, if he's telling you this or telling you that, he's probably thinking
This,
that.
yes.
So you need to know what he's thinking so you know how to handle what he's thinking and how to do that. So part of that comes from the place where I know what I would think if I was a young man. And then part of it also comes from the place where I know, look, this is what I want my daughter to know. If I had a daughter, I want her to be strong. I want her to be wise,
Yes.
just like you are.
Thank
And I
you
want her
so
to
much.
know to know how to handle life.
Yes.
So she needs to be tough. She needs to be like a man, but be a strong woman.
Yes.
Have the wisdom to know what men think and know what women think, and then be herself.
Yes. Okay. So what is the one thing you would tell the 21st century woman today searching out her purpose?
Wow. That's a question I think comes up many times because many young women ask us, how do I find my purpose? How do I find what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yes.
And we talked about this yesterday, and
Yeah.
we talked about the different points. The things that you see around you that are problems, that irk you, irritate you.
Yes.
Those are probably some of the things that you need to solve.
Yes.
And then also, too, at the same time, the things that give you joy, that give you excitement, that you could do without being paid for them. Things that you could do and just say, I wake up and I just love doing this. The things that excite you, these are all clues to what you're supposed to do with your life.
Yes.
And if you can find what you are to do with your life early, then that gives you 20, 30, 40 years to live
And
a life
enjoy it.
and enjoy purpose.
And be impactful. Okay.
So I think, so the question and answer, I think, would be find your purpose early.
Okay.
And live your purpose.
Okay. So now, still on Wisdom to Our Daughters, what is your understanding of the word submission?
Submission, wonderful word.
The big S.
I have a different take on the word submission. I look at it from the Bible. Okay, I'm a pastor.
Yes.
Now, in the Bible talks about how it says, husbands, love your wives. Wives, submit to your husband. So at every wedding in Nigeria, they will read that scripture. Wives, submit to your husbands.
And beat the wife down
Exactly.
with it.
and they knock you down everything. But I'd say in that scripture, if you look at those verses, there are 3 verses that talk to the man, to the woman, and then 9
That talk
to the man. It says, husband, love your wife as Christ loved the church and took care of her and washed her and made her
Gave himself
clean
unto her.
and gave himself
Yes.
and all kinds of different things. So those verses are really talking to the husband. So here's my thought on that. I say, look, if you love your wife like you should love her, if you take care of her, if you make her clean, the same way Christ does for me. Christ does not pursue me and hit me to submit to him. He loves me. He takes care of me. Because of all these things he does for me, submission is easy.
It's a pleasure.
He never asks me to submit to him.
Yes, yes.
He does all these things for me, so I do that. So I tell you, look, so husbands, if you love your wife like you should love her, submission will never be an issue because she will take care of you. And here's the thing about women. Women are wonderful creatures. They nurture. They take care of you. So if you take care of them,
They take care
will
of you.
multiply it 1,000 times.
Yes,
to
because
you.
we incubate and then we multiply and we give forth
Exactly.
a complete product.
Exactly.
Okay.
I heard Miles Monroe say one time, he said, look, if you're having trouble from your wife, look at what you're giving to her because she's only giving you back what you're giving to her.
I
So
like that.
You give her love, she will give you love 1,000 times.
Yes.
You give her trouble, you will get trouble
You will
multiplied.
get it. Okay. Dr. Franklin Covey,
Yes.
in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about the private victory which we must win internally versus the public victory which we must win against the world.
Right.
What is the private victory that you must win daily as Feb?
The private victory for me is to be the best version of me I can be. Because there's so many things I want to do. There's so many things in my head. I get ideas, 1,000 ideas a day, and I want to do so many of them. But I have to realize that you must pick the one that's most important for now. Work on that. Make that the best that it can be. And then if you do that, other things flow easier. So for me, I think the private victory for me is to be the best that I can be with the one thing that I'm focusing on.
Okay.
I talk about if you have a set of swings with 3 swings, and you're trying to push the swing and push the second one and push the third one, you will go back and forth and lose your strength because you're trying to rush and push and push and push.
And they lose the momentum.
And they lose momentum. What works best then is take one of them, keep pushing it, keep working on it. At some point, it will get to the point where it's going on its own, has momentum.
Yes.
And you go to the next one, push that one, and that one goes and gets strength. And the next one, and that one goes and gets strength. That way, each one of them does not require as much force and power and strength each time to make it move. That way, you're not pushing yourself and struggling and wearing yourself out. I think if you can do that, you'll find that as a leader, as a person of strength, you will do much better.
Okay. Marianne Williamson, in her poem, Our Greatest Fear, she says that our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate, it is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that scares us. And a lot of men, I believe, fear failure in different forms, be it poverty, be it relationship-wise. For you, what is the one thing that you absolutely must overcome in this lifetime? The one thing
that I must overcome. I think, talking about failure, I think the fear of failure is a good thing because it motivates men. It motivates us to say, well, we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we don't fail in that way. And so we try our best. The one thing that I must overcome in this life is to take that image of the African, of the Nigerian, where we are not as good as everyone else looks, where we don't do things with excellence, where we don't do things well.
Yes.
And we blame somebody else for that, not ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's something I must overcome daily because I travel to the US and to other countries in Europe, and I come back and I think, okay, I need to change this, that. But then after a week or 2 or 3, I get used to the way things are done.
Slide back into the status quo.
And we're used to that, so we just sort of leave that. So for me, I must overcome all the time that I must live a life that is excellent. So in our environment, in my life, with my family, with my home, I must always make sure that we live a life of excellence because we have a standard to live up to. I tell people that you must make sure that you are an island of excellence in an ocean of mediocrity.
Oh, wow, I
If
like
you
that.
can do that, the world will be drawn to you.
Because that's the energy that the world is looking for.
Right.
And I think yesterday we learned that it is only at that point that you can then commercialize it and make it work for you.
Exactly.
Okay. Good leaders, or good leadership is being able to work your way out of a job. Have you worked your way out of a job? Apart from
yes.
as a father and husband, please don't work your way out of that one. But have you worked your way out of a job in every other area?
I've done my best. Like I was saying before, you want to find good people to do what they do best. And so at the university, for a long time, I used to tell myself, I'm the CEO, I must make sure this works well. And I was running myself ragged. We had a vice chancellor, we had people that were provost, but I was trying to do everything. And so at one point they realized, let's find someone who's very good, put a good team around them. Then that way I can step out of it. Now, because of the many hats I wear, I couldn't be at the university and be a pastor and be a leader for the hospital and be a leader for this and for that. But I was trying to do it all. What saved me then was finding good people that can run and do these things when I'm not there. So I don't have to have a clone of myself. I have to find someone who has strengths in different areas. And when you find 2 or 3 or 4 people that have strengths, they can build a good team. You can step out of that area.
Yes.
And then they can work.
Yeah.
It goes back to the swing where they have momentum. And then once that is working, you go to the next one and you make sure that you have good people there to build a strong team. What we do now then is we meet monthly, we meet every once in a while and we talk about different issues and we say, okay, try this. And they run with it.
Yeah.
And they're doing much better than I could have done if I was doing it by myself.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the hospital, there's the church, there's the university, there's the city. There's all these things and they're running. So what's next for you?
Wow. What's next? I love always looking for the next mountain to conquer. I think for me, what we're trying to build a city now. We're trying to build one that I've been inspired by Disney. I've been inspired by my brother Joe and Chula.
Chula. There you go. You're very Kenyan now.
And so what I want to do, I think for me, the next thing to do is we want to build a city that's when people come to Africa, come to Nigeria, they see what God can do with people who trust Him. And so you come in and you should be able to drive in and you don't know the difference between where you are here and if you're in Europe or in North America or anywhere else. We want to show that a spirit of excellence can come out of Africa.
Yes.
So my father helped us because he was able to take Nigeria and Africa, what was called a dark continent, and bring the light to it.
Yes.
And so now we're saying, okay, let's take it to the next level. Let's build cities. Let's build the things that people can look at and say, that's an example of what we want to be like.
Of the excellence.
So for me, I think the next thing for me now is to build that city that you can go to Dubai and look at Nigeria, go to Europe and look at Nigeria and say, well, these are very similar.
Okay. And parting shot, what do you want to leave with us Kenyans? You know we talked about Africa Magic yesterday, and Afro Cinema continues. But what do you want to leave with us? Parting shot, the one thing you want us to remember and work towards, even to inspire or challenge us.
When it comes to being the best you can be, I remember people always telling us that Europe underdeveloped Africa. I had a problem with that theory because for me, it was us blaming somebody else for what we didn't do.
Yes.
But I think for us as Africans, for us as Kenyans, for us as Nigerians, for us as people of color, we want to be the ones who set the standard. So back to those words again. If you can work to continually make sure that in the mediocrity around you, you can be an island of excellence, then the world will begin to look for you as a standard.
Wow.
And you will set the pace versus you looking somewhere else and trying to copy. Make sure that you can be the one that they will come to and copy you.
Yeah.
We have every resource now at our fingertips. We have technology. We have human resources. We have natural resources. Everything that the world is looking for is in Africa.
Yes.
It's in Kenya.
Yes.
So why can't we take these things, process them, change them, and make ourselves the standard versus us copying somebody else?
Okay.
There's thoughts, there's ideas, there are computers, there are cars, there are visions in Africans. Bring these things to the top and let the world come looking for us.
Okay.
They say if you build a better mousetrap, the world will be the path to your door. My thought is don't build a better mousetrap.
No.
Build something that the world has not seen before, and they will rush and beg you for it.
Okay.
That is what I think will change Africa.
Okay. Thank you. You have been so gracious. Thank you for being open and vulnerable.
Thank you.
Thank you for visiting Kenya and for coming back.
Oh, this is my home.
With
I
your
love it.
wife.
This is my home.
I have
Yes.
said it before. Don't leave her behind this time.
She was with me last time.
Yes.
So we'll come again this time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Okay. Thank you so much. You have been
you.
gracious and we've learnt a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much.